This is the On the Job podcast, and I'm psyched to have my great friend Frank Jacobs from Local 1, the birthplace of the IBEW, the home of Henry Miller. Frank, welcome to Boston, buddy.
Well, thank you very much for the invite. We're going to be touring your school tomorrow. We're looking at building a new school in St. Louis, so we took a little trip up here, and it's always, like I say, it's always good to see my friend Lou. Or like I say, we've been friends for quite a while now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we love hosting, and certainly love having friends from around the country come to Boston. We're proud of everything that we're doing here. Our JTC is, we think the world of it, and we're going to give you the tour, and hopefully it'll give you guys some ideas to take back to kind of St. Louis with the Nika counterparts, and kind of maybe adopt some, maybe see some other things that we didn't see. And
we got to do the right things for our future, right? Those are our future workers out there, future members.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sharing ideas is always good with folks around the country with similar size locals or similar size kind of areas, geographical areas.
Yeah.
We share a lot of the same challenges, I think, around the country with cities like St. Louis, like Chicago, like New York and others. So it's good to kind of get ourselves in the room together. I know Nika's going to be in the room tomorrow to kind of share some of our contractors, some of their challenges, some of their things that they are looking at that are, whether they're problematic or whether they're success stories, and we kind of get in a room together and talk about that stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
We'll have a good group here.
Yeah.
Like I say, I was thinking it's important on the JTCs. I think it's important for people when they walk in that room and you're talking about the JTC, you're talking about the industry.
Yeah.
I can't worry so much about the union, and they can't worry about their business. Right. It's the industry itself and the people we're going to be putting through our program. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got a great training director. Who you'll meet later on, and a couple of assistant training directors that really do a great job, and they don't need any interference from me or from my office. They just take the ball and run with it. They train similar to what you guys do. They train our apprentices better than anybody, and I don't want to get in the way of that. I don't want to mess that up. I want to let them keep going and give them all the tools they need to be successful. Our building is about 30 years old now. I was a first-year apprentice when we moved into that building. In 1991, I think, is when we opened that building. You'll see it. When you see the building, you'll be like, it looked like it opened last week. It's like you can eat off the floor. It's spick and span. But last year, 2 years ago, we did a big renovation. I was telling you about a little bit. We've had some mold mitigation over the years and some water leaks, and we kind of straightened out all that, added some training space, added some shop and classroom space, and about a $10 million investment that our members paid for to expand, and it just came out great, and we really feel, so positive about the future of our industry with training, certainly with a lot of the changes in technology in the electrical industry constantly changing. So we feel we're ready for it, and we want to kind of show you guys guys make those changes.
It'll be great for us to see, because the building we're in was built in the 60s, or we took it over in the 60s, I should say, and we really had one big renovation in that time period. It was in the early 90s. I had just gotten on the apprenticeship training committee at the time and did a big renovation, and it was state of the art at the time, but that was in the early 90s. And, it needs, we need more space, and we just, like I say, the building's due for something. So we're either looking at adding on to that one, then remodeling, or purchasing another building and moving into there. So.
Yeah, very cool. So here in Boston, our campus is all kind of inclusive. We have the hall here. We have the training center across the parking lot. Our trust fund office is on the second floor here. What's it like in St. Louis? How was your?
So we're the training center is right next door to the hall.
Awesome.
And our benefits office is across the street from the hall. So we're right there. And Nika's about 4 miles down the road.
Yeah.
So
everything's
pretty centrally located.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for the members.
All down on the hill in St. Louis. A lot of good Italian restaurants.
That's great. Yeah. The first time I was in St. Louis was for the convention. That's going 9 years ago now. I think.
9 years ago.
Yeah, I loved it. St. Louis was awesome.
That was my first convention, and I was hosting, and it was something. It was something else. I'll tell you that.
You guys did a great job.
It was. I told when the convention was in Chicago, our good friend Don Finn. I told him, I said, I'll help you all you want, but I said, once that week comes, I said, I'm going to enjoy that convention.
Yeah, that's right. Don did a great job.
Oh, he did a fantastic job. Yeah,
absolutely. So back to St. Louis. St. Louis, really the birthplace of the IBW. Henry Miller started it all there in that little house that's now a museum.
Yeah.
It was great to visit that spot. You guys really, built and maintained that. Talk about a little bit about the Henry Miller Museum and everything.
Yeah, it was we kind of researched it for a year. They had kind of shown that building when Ed Hill had put that video together about Henry Miller. So we went down, we did a bunch of research along with the International and making sure we had the right building. And then we went and purchased it. And after we purchased it, we started talking about what we were going to do. I met with the vice presidents and the IEC. And when I kind of told them our plan for fundraising and all that kind of stuff, the International said, "Good job. We're going to take it over from here." Like, perfect, So we kept going on with the construction, and we did the ribbon cutting. We ended up buying all the lots of land that were around it, so we've got a nice green space there. We've got the plaza right there where the 10 Henry Miller statues are on poles, and different things inside. The Greb Saloon, there was a saloon there in 1891, so we recreated the saloon, got a nice meeting space upstairs. We surgically demolished the building when we did it. The floor, the floor that was there that Henry Miller would have walked on, is back down on the ground on the floor, and you can walk on the floors that Henry Miller walked on. And I think we recently got a donation, and can't remember the local, and I should, but I can't. They've rented this, or they've sponsored the space next to it, and we're going to try and make that J.T. Kelly's office replicate his office that he had up there. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
we're in search of the desk. His actual desk is somewhere. We're still trying to find it. It's been with family, but it has since left the family. So we're trying to track that down to see if we can at least get some pictures of it to replicate his desk. So
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
it was a lot of fun. It was a labor. I mean, they were working 7/12s at the end of that job to get it done for the convention. It was ready to go, and we did the ribbon cutting on the Thursday before the convention in 2016. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I know our membership sponsored to have a couple of benches and a couple of bricks
Yeah.
in that courtyard out there,
Yeah.
which was, a sense of pride. We went out there and got to see, IBW 103 represented at the Henry Miller Museum.
Yeah, it's
along with many other local units.
yeah.
too,
The families buy
Yeah.
buy the bricks, whatever. They're like I say, it's a really neat place. If I always tell people, if you're the IBW and you walk through that thing and the hair doesn't stand up on your arms, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, right. We went out there for the convention. My brother was with me. We visited the Henry Miller Museum. We took a picture together at one of the seats that, maybe it was the table that Henry Miller sat at when the founding
upstairs.
fathers kind of decided to form the IBW. And we got a picture at the table in the museum, and I still got it in my office. It's a sense of pride. It really is.
Yeah.
I showed my dad. My dad's an IBW member. His dad was an IBW member. So to go to the founding spot is, you guys must get a lot of visits from around the country.
We do. I would say there's at least 4 to 5 days a week. We're doing at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 tours a day. Somebody's stopping through. If you're coming out, if you're going to be out that way, call ahead. And, one of the business reps will, or the financial secretary will take the time to go down and give you a tour. I'll even give you a tour sometime on weekends when somebody else can't do it. We'll do some tours on weekends. We try to keep them during the week, but we try to be accommodating. I mean, it belongs to the membership, so we try and be good stewards of it and make sure people can see it if they want to see it.
Oh, that's awesome. How far is it from you guys' office?
It's about 10 minutes,
Oh, yeah,
10-minute
awesome.
ride. Yeah, so it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not far at all. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's a great piece of history that you guys are carrying on. Local One, you got the distinct pleasure. You guys were the first local union, and now you got the distinct pleasure of carrying on the history of the IBW right in your hometown. That's
it's pretty cool.
yeah, that is special. That's Boston being a real historic city. Revolution.
Sure.
The many firsts in the city of Boston and Massachusetts, but not the first in the IBW. It goes to you guys out in Local One, which is
We catch a little grief about it
it's
sometimes.
pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, that's a big mantle to carry.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
not only
yeah.
Handling everything that the members of Local One rely on you to do, but you're also carrying the mantra of the beginnings, humble beginnings of the IBW.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's been a labor of love for several of us down there. Put a lot of time and effort into that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, most labor guys are history guys. You know,
Yeah.
'cause labor history is so strong and embedded in us, all of us, really. So
Yeah.
that's a great thing that you guys have, and you're maintaining for all of us. So thank you for doing that.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah,
It's our
you got a
pleasure.
little tour of our place here, and the founding fathers are hanging in our hall, like they hang in every hall in this country. you know?
Yeah. Kansas City, I think, has from the 100th anniversary. There was a big, I don't know what it's made out of. Probably I don't know if it's made out of plaster or styrofoam, whatever. But it was probably 10 feet tall and 15 feet wide, kind of sculptures of the founding fathers. That picture,
Yeah.
and they still have it in their hall today.
that's pretty cool.
You know, so yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know it might have been the last time you were in Boston. It was a great visit for you. It wasn't so much a great visit for me. It was during the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it was Game 7. It was the Stanley Cup, St. Louis versus Boston.
That was I was telling Lou through text the other day. We were talking about. I said the first time I was here less than 24 hours. This time I'm going to be here less than 48. I said, but yeah, that will always be a memorable place. We had a great time that night, and didn't get too much grief from the Boston fans when we were walking back to our hotel. It did help me when we ran into Charles Barkley, and he was staying at the same hotel we were, so he was with us the rest of the way. So that might have helped a little bit on the grief we were getting. But no, it was a great time.
Great time for you guys.
For us,
Not so much.
Not so much for you guys. We had a little bet, and you guys had all to wear Blues T-shirts.
Yep. I don't have that hanging in my office. That's for sure. That was my first Game 7. I felt great about it. We actually hooked up in the middle of the game.
A couple of periods we met up
during the game. Yeah, I had my Bruins jersey on. You had your Blues jersey on, and it just was all downhill after that. So, kudos to the Blues. Tell me a little bit about you. So, Massachusetts, we're a true blue state. You guys have been more kind of middle of America.
Where we are, I mean, it's kind of, it's true. It's sad, but true. But we, Kansas City, St. Louis, like most big cities, were Democrats, solid Democrats, and then everything else in the middle, except for maybe right in the middle of the state around Jeff City, Columbia area, we are Arkansas.
Yeah.
And it's, the Republicans have a supermajority in the House and the Senate. They hold every statewide office. We have 2 Republican U.S. senators, and you look at a lot of categories. Missouri's last in education, the amount of money they spend on education. It's it's a tough place to be and to be union. We've got our own, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this, about our fight that we have going on with the carpenters and Local 57. The carpenters formed a union back in 2008.
The electrical union.
They formed an electrical union back. They invited a bunch of non-union contractors in. Terry Nelson, who was the secretary treasurer of the carpenters at the time, stood in front of them with a letter full of general contractors from the AGC, who said they would support them and use those contractors if they became signatory. They signed a contract that has, basically no work rules, pay 25 to 40% less than the IBEW Local 1 contractors working for Local 1 pay, and they don't care about the electric industry. One of the larger contractors, Local 57, became signatory with the laborers, and the laborers now put in our pipe, they'll put pipe in, they'll pull wire, they'll set temporaries, they'll do whatever. And nobody from the carpenters will ever, if that was going on a job with the IBEW, we'd be out there right away and we'd be going to stop. Carpenters don't care about the industry, so they let that continue, So it's been a fight. It's been a fight since 2008. My good friend John Karoff, one of my business rep and organizer, it's his mission.
Yeah.
And he's been working at it a long time since he came on, since we took over in 2011. He's been an organizer, but he was working on it long before that. I was an organizer back in 2008 when all that first started to happen. So he's, like I say, it's been his passion, it's been his mission, and we make inroads. We've had the ability to tried to get an election a couple times. COVID kind of hurt us the first time. We did it again 3 years later, and we actually got majority cards signed from 2 of the 3 largest Local 57 contractors.
Oh, wow.
We got a bad ruling from the Department of Labor at the
There's a shock,
at the
right?
district level.
Bad ruling from the DOL.
And so we took it up to we pushed it all the way to the national, and we ended up 18 months later, we got a good ruling. But the problem is all those guys that had supported us, we had brought them over by then.
Yeah, right, right.
And so we ended up losing those 2 elections that we had with 2 of the contractors individually, and but we're going to take another run at them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, our organizers are out there still talking to the 57 guys, and making sure we still have that connection, because we're going to take another run at them.
Yeah. Yeah, your guy, John Carhoff, you mentioned, he's a talented guy, and he's got his fingers in everything, and everything he touches, he don't just let it go. He works his ass off and does a great job with some of the organizing online stuff. I can imagine.
I always say he's the only guy I know that's got 28 hours in a day, because there's no way you can do what he does. You know?
So if I'm a carpenter at Local 57 trying to open up an electrical business, and John Carhoff is on the other side, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
He does a great job. You got a great team and a great staff out in Local 1. So
We like I
kudos
say,
to you.
like I say, the reps I have working for me, they make my job. They make my job a lot easier, because they do a great job of covering areas. So.
Yeah, same here. Get good guys around you. Just makes the local shine. Makes the local proud to be part of. Another fight you guys had a couple years ago that the whole nation, all the eyes in the country were watching. Missouri, in the right to work fight.
Yeah, 2017, 2018, big signature gathering campaign through 2017 to put the legislature had passed right to work.
All red legislature, right to work.
Right,
passed.
yeah.
Yep.
So it passed. We did a ballot initiative petition to put it on the ballot. That was 1 year. 2018 was preparing for the vote. Jim Reinheimer was, I released him to the Missouri AFL-CIO, and he was instrumental in really getting the eastern half of the state ballots or a petition signed. No ballot initiative petition had ever gotten all 8 districts in the state of Missouri passed over the finish line. We had gotten all 8. I had 200 Local 1 members from St. Louis 2 weekends in a row on 2 Saturdays and Sundays down in Cape Girardeau, southern part of Local 1's jurisdiction, getting signatures. And that's a district that nobody thought we could ever get that district. And we got the signatures down there also. And then when it came to the vote, it was defeated 67% to, so, had we known at the time it was going to be that big, we probably would have done a constitutional amendment. But, like I said, we were just trying to stave it off at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge victory, not only for Missouri and St. Louis and Kansas City. I mean, the whole labor movement was watching Missouri during that whole fight and with bated breath. And, we can't say we weren't all nervous, but you guys hit it out of the park.
It was great. It was, I mean, but once again, it cost us $22 million.
Yeah.
Fight back right to work. Yeah. And they're going to be coming back at us again.
Right.
Because all they got to do is pass the legislation.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I guess you could look at, that we're fortunate in Massachusetts that we don't have that fight. But to our sister local, just north in New Hampshire, which New Hampshire and Massachusetts are as close as 20 miles north, 30 miles north is New Hampshire. They seem to have that same fight every couple of years. Some Republican legislatures file a bill to enact right to work with some out-of-state money, some big corporate money from down south or God knows where, and it's on the ballot, and we got to fight like hell to defeat it. And I think out of the last 10 years, I think every other year for the last 10 or 12 years, we've had to go up to New Hampshire, and the whole labor movement from New England goes to New Hampshire, boots on the ground, calling, knocking, spending money, fighting right to work. And another success story for right to work is New Hampshire has battled it and defeated it every single time it came up. And we think this time's the last time, but nope. 2 years from now they'll be back. And
I mean, immediately after,
again.
when we had defeated that, the next session, there it was. 3 or 4 more guys putting a bill up. County by county. Whatever whatever their twist was on it this time, but they were going back after it again.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Missouri's got a little problem. You know, the will of the people in Missouri is not listened to by the reps. You know, we just passed a law where mandatory sick leave every 30 hours. An employee an employee would get 1 hour of sick leave time for every 30 hours he worked. Strike of the pen. They got after it was, and that was a ballot issue. It won, and the Republicans repealed it. Took it back. Trump made a phone call to the governor of Missouri, and we have and told him to refix the districts to pick up a seat. So they just gerrymandered a district away over in Kansas City. So the only rep will be out of the state of out of the city, out of the St. Louis area. Now,
Yeah. Wow.
So once again, we'll see what happens in that
we-
fight too. We are now getting ready. We got a big meeting back in the state of Missouri next week about the initiative petition and Workers' Bill of Rights, all that kind of stuff, all the stuff that's been repealed by the Missouri House and Senate after it was passed by the people.
Yeah, God, the anti-worker movement, they are strong and tenacious and friggin' well-funded, I'll tell you. I mean, they just keep coming after us. They just keep coming after us and keeps our members sharp, keeps them fighting, keeps them, the eyes on the ball and their, eyes on the road and head
Right.
down, kind of. It's unfortunate that we have to concentrate on so much anti.
Yeah, we got all kinds of people fight. We got the non-union. We got to fight every day, but then you got to fight the legislature as well.
Right. Yeah. I know it's tough. I mean, that, like I said, that right to work campaign that you guys put together, or anti-right to work in Missouri, was one for the national to kind of take a real hard look at that. We can win elections in red states.
You can.
You know what I mean?
It was. I mean, I think it won in. I think it was defeated in all but four or five counties in the state of Missouri when that happened.
That's awesome. That's great work. That really is great work. It just goes to show you labor still matters, even to
Even to
our
people
members
that aren't
red, right?
right. Even to people that or aren't even labor, have nothing to do with labor.
Right.
We had to get their votes too.
Right. That's right. Yeah, everybody believes good day's work for good day's pay, right? Everybody deserves a decent wage. So that's great that you guys ever pulled that off. Gives us all hope. We were talking earlier about the big ugly bill that's kind of wreaking havoc across the country with a lot of the funding for a lot of the jobs that our members look forward to being on. For us in Boston, Mass, it's the meds and the eds, it's the colleges and the universities, as well as the hospitals and healthcare facilities, and it all bleeds over to research and all that stuff. What's some of the stuff that you guys and the pains you're feeling from some of those cutbacks?
So we had early on, as soon as it was passed, Washington University had two large projects that they canceled, and just this week, Mercy Hospital was going to build a $1 billion hospital out in Wentzville, which is a little west of the St. Louis area, and they have now pushed the start date back to at least spring. They're going to re-engineer, probably make it smaller, but it's because of the funds. Yeah. So it's definitely affected us.
Yeah, a lot of the rural and suburban hospitals here, they're underwater as it is. We just had a big hospital network here in Massachusetts go bankrupt. The CEO took off with millions of dollars that were scheduled to be part of the hospital network's reliable funding. So we're seeing it before the big ugly bill passed, and now it's just going to put a bigger strain on these smaller hospitals, even the bigger hospitals.
Sure, I got to go somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
And the first thing that they're going to cut is some of these expansion projects that you're seeing.
Right.
And we're going to see the same thing. Some of these big hospital networks that are going to expand, now they don't have the money to expand because they need to, fill the dike and fill gaps everywhere else because they're not getting funding from the federal government.
Yeah, it's definitely affecting us, know. And I think you're going to see some of it on some of the energy stuff too. Solar projects. I mean, some of the wind projects up here on the East Coast. They just stopped them. It's definitely something members need to think about when they go to the ballot box. That's for sure.
Yeah, here, clean energy stuff. He is just take a battering ram to anything that's got to do with clean energy, whether it's solar, whether it's wind. I mean, we need all the energy sources that we can get, including solar and wind and everything else, nuclear, oil, gas. We need everything.
Sure.
All energy sources on deck. But he's just taking a battering ram to anything that is not oil and gas, and it's not good.
No, I've heard the reports up here. Just stop working on them. It's like that's just crazy.
Yeah. Our energy prices are high enough as it is, even nationally. Even the states where it's lower, it's still it's significantly higher than it was, and it's going to get even worse, I think, in the next couple of years.
Missouri's pretty cheap, electric wise. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Cheap's probably not the right word, but it's pretty reasonable. And there's been some rate hikes there. I think they've kind of changed how they pay for their projects. Used to they would get the money for them after they were built. I think there was some legislation passed where now they can start building that money up before they do a project, which I'm okay with that. Build. I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's funny. Like they complain. Trump complains about the government subsidies for clean energy projects, whether it's solar, whether it's offshore wind, but there isn't energy industry in this country that's not government subsidized. The nuclear industry, nobody can afford to build a nuke unless the government subsidizing it, and no other industry gets more government money than oil and gas industry, right? So I mean the government's already subsidizing these industries. They don't talk about it because they're all rolling in dough.
Right.
But yeah, we have high energy costs here, and they're only going to get higher because they're canceling some of these projects, which is really a downer. Our governor is doing a great job with trying to promote and trying to give all the incentives that we can, but we're not the federal government. We can't afford to subsidize like the government can. But what's the outlook like in St. Louis?
I would have said 6 months ago I'd have said it looked better.
Yeah.
But we got a little unemployment right now. We probably got about 10% unemployment right now, and I think there's a couple nice sized projects coming up. One was that hospital, which we were kind of looking forward to that. Boeing's got the new strike fighter. We're building that building. That's about a $2 billion project. So that's just getting started. That had been kind of delayed for a little bit, but that thing is getting started, getting going. So it's going to start taking some manpower. I think they just hired that contractor. One of the two contractors has to work out there. Just hired 17 apprentices last week. So I think things will start picking up, and I think we'll get that list cleared off.
Yeah.
There's other stuff they're talking about. Data centers are a big thing right now. We had a really nice size $10 billion project, but the citizens, some bad information started screaming at the council, and it got canceled. So we're looking at another one down in the city of St. Louis, where we just had a hearing on it yesterday in St. Louis, and had some of our members who are city residents down there talking in favor of it. So.
It's hard to find elected officials that have a spine, isn't it? Sometimes the ones you do have, you gotta make sure they get reelected.
Right.
They're all they're spooked by their own shadows sometimes.
And what we found is just educating them.
Yeah.
We had a lot of several years ago. We had a lot of new progressives get elected, and didn't understand labor's issues. And John Stifler, the head of the building trades, Jay Kummel, an IBEW member who's head of the Missouri AFL-CIO, through their relationships and building relationships with those new progressives, most of the time they're on our side, and that helps. That helps a lot at the city level.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it's kind of hard when you see elected officials like that get spooked by a couple of naysayers or a couple of NIMBY groups, and they cancel $10 billion projects or cut them back significantly.
Yeah,
we see it here in Boston. Maybe not so much with data centers and big battery projects, but heights of buildings here in Boston is always a bone of contention. Someone wants to build a 50-story building. That's great. And then the NIMBYs get a hold of them, and this, maybe it's a council member somewhere, and they just beat the project up, where now the project's 35 stories rather than being 50 stories, directly impacting our members' hours on the jobs,
We've got the issue we have in St. Louis is it can't be any taller than the arch. So, we do have a little bit of a constraint on that, but about 40 43 stories.
Is that what it
about
is? The
as-
arch is 43
well,
stories?
that's about what the tallest the building can
Yeah.
be. Is so
All right.
don't want to mess up the skyline.
Yeah.
I guess
So we're so close to our airport here in Boston, so we're constrained by the FAA in the airport.
Sure.
What they do. Further away from the downtown area you go, the heights get a little bit higher, but nothing more than around 60 stories is about the max here in Boston, but certainly not New York or Chicago or LA, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they've got 100-story buildings. Like
Yeah,
I've
right,
got 40-story buildings.
yeah. Speaking of those New York and LA, Chicago, this is like a challenge now, Frank. You're the first outside businessman to come in and sit here on our podcast. We got to get
Get our buddy Don Finn down
we
here,
gotta
right?
get Johnny Finn. We got to get Bo. We got to get
Yeah.
all
Yep.
the guys, Billy Neesman and the crew. Get
Yeah,
those guys down
absolutely.
here. You know,
Yeah, get them over
take
here.
the show on the road.
That's
What do you
right.
think,
Yeah,
Frank?
yeah, there you go.
We'll take the show on the road. Yeah. Well, this is great. I really appreciate you taking a couple minutes. I know time is short for you guys here, but it means a lot that you came by to talk about, talk shop a little bit with me and talk about some of the challenges and some of the good things that you guys are doing in St. Louis and sharing it with my members,
I appreciate everything you do, and like I say, we talked about him earlier, John Caroff. He's always like, Frank, you need to do a podcast. Well, I don't know if podcasts are really my thing, but anyway, I appreciate the time, today and tomorrow that you're giving to us to help us back in St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. Glad to have
great.
you. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.